Could this be the best budget-friendly trail camera on the market? And can you actually buy a trail camera like this without wasting hundreds of your hard-earned dollars on a big name brand camera? Well, today we're going to discover exactly that, so stick around to the end of the video to find out, because this tiny outdoor expert trail camera has 20 megapixel photos, HD video, motion activation, invisible infrared night vision that can illuminate up to 80 feet with the IP66 weather resistant design. And it's only about half the size of my hand, but here's the big question. Is this little budget friendly camera actually enough for the average hunter or property owner? Are you going to regret not spending hundreds of dollars on one of those expensive big name trail cameras? That's the big question. That's what we're going to find out today. I'm going to show you what it can do, what it can't do, and who I think it's actually designed for. And at the end, I'll tell you whether I think a budget-friendly camera like this can actually compete where it matters. So don't go anywhere. Let's check it out, the Outdoor Expert Trail Camera. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe now. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so the first thing that immediately stands out to me about this Outdoor Expert Trail Camera is the size. You can see that right there. It's so tiny. Look at this thing. It's just, I like that. It's lightweight. This is not one of those massive trail cameras that feels like you're strapping a brick to the side of a tree. This thing is super tiny and compact. It's roughly half hand size, which could actually be a pretty big advantage if you're carrying around several cameras deep into the woods. You can put several of these in your pack. They're not big and bulky. So think about it. If you're walking a long distance to set up 3, 4, or 5 trail cameras, the last thing you want is a backpack full of them. I mean, it's a nuisance, right? Something this compact is easy to carry, easy to position, and much less noticeable once you got it mounted. And speaking of mounted, it comes with a strap. And despite the small size, they pack quite a few features into it. Now, let's start with one of the biggest things people care about with any trail camera, and you guessed it, that's picture quality. According to the specifications, this camera can capture photos at up to 20 megapixels, and it can also record HD video. You have 2 main capture modes, photo or video. And personally, I think having both options is very important if you're trying to locate that trophy buck. A photograph can tell you, okay, I got a deer coming through here, but video can potentially tell you a whole lot more. You might see which direction that deer came from. You can see where it's headed potentially on video, and it's just cool to share on social media deer photos after you harvest the deer. You might even notice how long it's hanging around in a particular area. For someone scouting hunting property, that information could be extremely useful. Obviously, you don't want this camera recording continuously, otherwise you'd have hours and hours of footage that looks like nothing. It's just an empty blank screen, or you'll have footage of nothing but the woods with random birds flying around or whatever, insects. So you don't want that. So it does have motion activation technology, and that's where this comes into play. A deer walk in front of it and it'll start recording. The Outdoor Expert uses PIR motion sensor that's designed to detect movement and automatically trigger the camera. So let's say I've got this mounted right here on a tree and I'm nowhere around, right? The camera is basically sitting here waiting, and then some kind of animal comes walking through, whether it be a turkey or a deer, elk, moose, whatever. The sensor detects that movement and automatically captures either a photograph or video, depending on how you configured the camera. The listed PIR motion detection range is up to approximately 60 feet, so that's a long ways, guys. So you don't necessarily need an animal walking 2 feet in front of this thing for it to trigger. And hopefully when you check that memory card, you got a giant buck, moose, elk on the camera and not 137 pictures of squirrels. And I've had that happen before in the past. If you don't configure your camera right, that can happen. But now here's one of the features I'm especially interested in testing is the night vision, because if you're monitoring wildlife, a lot can happen when the sun goes down. A lot of times those big bucks comes out at night. This camera uses 940 nanometer infrared LEDs to capture nighttime images and video. And these are designed to be no glow infrared LEDs. That's important because you don't necessarily want a giant visible flash going off every time an animal walks by. Imagine a big buck walking through here at midnight, through your hunting lease at midnight, and he says to himself, well, this looks like a nice, peaceful, and then the flash just flashes real, and he's going to ask himself, what was that? And then he's going to run off. I used to have cameras like that. It's no good, guys. So the whole idea behind a 940 nanometer no glow infrared is that the camera can illuminate the scene for nighttime recording without using a traditional visible flash that could potentially draw attention to the camera. And the manufacturer lists the night vision illumination distance up to 80 feet. 80 feet, guys, and this budget camera. Of course, actual results can depend on your surroundings, the weather, positioning, and other conditions, but an advertised 80-foot illumination distance from a camera this small is definitely something I'm interested in seeing. Now, of course, there's one major problem with putting electronics in the woods, and that's Mother Nature. Mother Nature brings rain, dust, dirt, humidity, and probably a squirrel that's eventually going to try to chew on it. The outdoor expert has a IP66 rated enclosure designed to help protect the camera against dust and outdoor weather conditions. It's also listed as RoHS certified. Now, weather resistant doesn't mean I'm going to take this thing and throw it into the bottom of a swimming pool, obviously. But for its intended use, mounted outside on a tree or around your property, the housing is designed to handle outdoor environments. Now, that's obviously essential for a trail camera because it's going to be out in the rain and all the dust and all that, so it's essential. Now, we need to talk about something that's extremely important before you actually buy this camera. And depending on what you're looking for, this could either be a disadvantage or maybe one of the reasons you might choose a camera like this in the first place. This is not a cellular trail camera. There's no cellular connection. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no app control, and you cannot sit inside your house and instantly pull up the camera on your phone. Those cameras are nice, but instead, everything is recorded locally on a micro SD card up to 32 gigabytes. The micro SD card is not included, so you'll need to provide one yourself. When you're ready to look at your pictures and videos, you'll remove the memory card and use a compatible computer or card reader to view them. Very important you know this before you purchase. And this is where that question from the beginning of the video becomes really, really important, because expensive doesn't automatically mean better for everybody. It depends on what you actually need when you're looking for a trail camera. Now, let's talk about power. Power is also pretty straightforward. This camera runs on 6 AA batteries, which are not included. So before heading out into the woods to install this thing, make sure you've got your batteries, make sure you got your micro SD card. And one benefit of something like this is simplicity. I like simple trail cameras. You just install your batteries, insert your memory card right there on the side. There's a little waterproof flap. You choose your settings, you mount your camera with the strap right there, and let it start monitoring. Battery life is going to depend on several factors, including the batteries you use, temperature, how frequently the camera is triggered, and whether you're primarily capturing photographs or video. I would get rechargeable batteries though, because it's going to be a whole lot cheaper. But this camera is designed with low battery consumption in mind, so that's a huge plus with this small camera. Now, I want to come back to the size because I think this is one of the more interesting aspects of this camera. If you're somebody who only needs one trail camera, Maybe size isn't a huge concern, but imagine you're carrying several of these out to your hunting lease. You're hiking through your hunting property, you've got all your gear on your back, and you've got batteries, you got straps, you got everything else that you're carrying. Being able to throw several tiny cameras into your bag could be pretty convenient. And because the camera itself is smaller, it may also be easier to position discreetly. You could potentially use this around deer trails, obviously, and food plots. But you could also position this over scrapes, farm property, barns, wooded areas, backyards, or simply anywhere you're curious about wildlife activity. I'm gonna put this outdoors in my backyard, and you've already seen some footage of that, to see if I got any raccoons in my yard. I mean, have something to get in my trash. So let's talk about who I think this camera like this is really designed for. I think there are essentially two different trail camera buyers. Buyer number one wants all the technology, and I got some cameras like that, cellular, compatible. They want cellular connectivity. Those are cool, guys. They want notifications sent to their phone. They want remote access. If a buck walks past their camera at 2:17 a.m. in the morning, ding, they want a picture of that, and I got those types of cameras. They're cool. They want that picture on their phone at 2:18, 1 minute after it was triggered. If that's what you want, then you're probably going to want to spend more money on a camera with those capabilities. But then there's buyer number two. You just simply want to know what's walking through my property. You don't need another app, something to keep up with, a subscription, because those cellular cameras cost money per month. You don't necessarily need a cellular plan. You don't need instant notifications. You simply want to mount a camera, let it capture wildlife, and check the memory card later. And speaking of mounting, it does have a mounting option there too for a tripod. If that's you, something like this starts making a whole lot of sense. And that brings us right back to the question I asked you at the very beginning. Can you buy a budget-friendly trail camera without wasting hundreds of your hard-earned dollars on a big name brand camera? Here's the question I think you really need to ask yourself. What am I actually paying for? If your trail camera is 3 hours away from your house and you can't easily check it, cellular connectivity could be worth every penny. Now, my lease is 2.5 hours away. I need one of those. But what if your camera is behind your house? What if it's on your farm? Like me, mine is in my backyard right now. What if it's somewhere you visit every few days anyway? Do you really need your camera connected to your phone 24/7 and paying that subscription every month? Maybe, but maybe not. And that's why I don't think everybody needs the most expensive trail camera on the shelf. So let's answer the big question. Could the Outdoor Expert be one of the best budget-friendly trail camera options for somebody who doesn't need all the bells and whistles? Based on the feature set, I think it's a compelling case for the right type of user. You're getting up to 20 megapixel photographs. Think about that. That's good photographs. HD video, motion activated recording, a PR detection range listed up to 60 feet, a 940 nm no glow infrared LED, night vision illumination listed up to 80 feet, a IP66 weather resistant enclosure, micro SD recording up to 32 gigabytes, and all of that is packed into this tiny little camera. But remember what you're not getting. You're not getting the Wi-Fi, no cellular connection, no app, no direct phone viewing, and you'll need to provide your own micro SD card and 6 AA batteries. So if you absolutely need cellular connectivity, instant pictures on your phone, this isn't designed to replace that type of camera. But if your goal is to simply capture wildlife without paying extra for features you might not ever use, a simple camera like the Outdoor Expert could potentially save you some serious money. And I've spent tons of money on trail cameras over the years, I know. And sometimes that's exactly what I'm looking for in a product. I don't necessarily want to pay for the biggest name on the box. I want to know whether the product can actually do the job I bought it to do. And for this little camera, that's what really matters. Now, I'm going to put this thing out in my backyard again and let it sit there when the sun goes down and see exactly what shows up. Hopefully, it's a big boar coon so I can see who the culprit is, maybe a possum or whatever. And I'm also going to put this out in the woods in my hunting lease later on. With my luck, I'll probably get 400 pictures of the same raccoon over and over and over when I put this out in the woods. But we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thank you to the seller for sending this out to me. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna put this out in my yard. I already have. You've seen the footage already. But when season starts, I'm gonna put this out near an active deer trail. And when I'm going in to hunt, I'll pull the card and then go to my deer blind and maybe get one of those mobile SD card viewers and check out the pictures while I'm sitting in my blind. It'll be something fun me and my son can do. And then when I leave to go home that day, I'll put fresh batteries and another SD card in there and let it capture more. And when I come back to hunt again, I'll have something to look at. So I enjoy my cellular cameras, but I also enjoy cameras like this from time to time. And I like all types of trail cameras. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.